This podcast is produced by Outcomes Rocket, your healthcare exclusive digital marketing agency. Outcomes Rocket exists to help healthcare organizations like yours to maximize their impact and accelerate growth. Visit outcomesrocket.com or text us at 312-224-9945. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beat Podcast recorded at Vive here in Nashville. I'm so pumped because today we have the opportunity to speak with Shay Perera. He is the co-founder and CTO of Navina. Shay spent a decade in the elite intelligence unit of the Israeli Defense Forces, where his strong focus was on bringing AI from theory into practice. And we need that in healthcare. So I'm glad he's with us. Shay, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Very exciting to be at the Vive conference. So that's an amazing opportunity. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to have you here. AI has been at the forefront of all the discussions at this conference, as you can imagine. Tell us how your organization is helping to drive change in healthcare delivery.
Sure. So, of course, today with all the challenges in healthcare, it's essential to have, this digital transformation going all across the market. And in Navina, what we do is we provide a clinical AI copilot for providers to streamline the clinical workflow across the organization. So it's also, on the point of care side and the back office side. And we help them just to make sense out of this huge amount of data that they have today, they're struggling with today, and turn it into actionable insights they can act upon and basically just improve their workflow, reduce some of the inefficiencies in it. And by the end of the day, improve the clinical and economical outcomes of the organizations. And today we already have thousands of providers just utilizing this amazing technology, including large organizations like Privia and Agilon and other groups in the market, and basically just using it side by side with their physicians.
Well, it's super useful. I love that it's point of care and also back office. There's just so many things that people struggle with in helping this system run smoothly. What emerging trends and technologies will have the biggest impact in your mind on healthcare over the next 5 years?
Yeah, so of course, in the next 5 years, AI will be the game changer for the healthcare market. It's all around, and the use cases that it can just change and transform are huge. And definitely, I see these AI capabilities transforming the way physicians are taking care of their patients, being smarter and knowledgeable about their patient health, and just saving huge amount of time of these repetitive tasks that physician needs to do across the board so they can more focus on their patients. And also in Navina, we are seeing that in the value-based market when it's also emerging, and this administrative burnout that is just getting more and more as you are adding those workflow in place, as you definitely need the AIs to do just that, just save the time, make physician enhance with this technology and improve the patient outcomes. I'm thinking like it won't be any kind of AI. It's not that every AI could just impact the market, but it will be those solutions get really integrate deeply into existing workflow and make it easy for provider to trust the system and use it in their day-to-day job.
Yeah, and it seems like with the latest with DeepSeek and all that, it could be less expensive than we initially thought.
100%. So many manual processes also today that you can think like, why do we need to still do that? How we can really disrupt this market in a way that we can save all this time, all these inefficiencies, all this turnaround of workload and people in the market that are just doing inefficient processes by really enhancing it with AI that both save a lot of time and money, but also by the end of the day will provide better care for patients.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's the game that we're in.
Yeah.
I love that. And so what are the biggest pain points that your organization is helping solve?
So I think it starts with the administrative burden. So, of course, providers today have so many processes and requirements they need to do as part of their workflow. And in Navina, we just turn it all, the chaotic data and all these administrative tasks they need to do, we are automating it for them. So the system and the AI is doing all the repetitive tasks for those providers. We are reducing their burden of just doing this task again and again. But also, we are basically streamlining the value-based stream workflow across the organization. So we are making sure that all these care gaps and patients that needs to be taken proactively and reducing cost of care. So we are taking care of that for the organization we are working with. We are providing them on the point of care side with all the insights they need in order to make sure they are closing gap and nothing falls between the cracks. Where in the back office, they have a way to just streamline this manual process they are doing today by enhancing it with AI, that's finding all the evidence, pulling all the documentation that is needed automatically, and providing across the board the leadership of the organization with advanced analytics that can track the quality measures and risk adjustment. So basically, just enhancing the whole workflow across the organization.
I love it. Very clear. And so, Shay, healthcare is often thought of as a very hands-on and personalized place to work, but physicians today, they're frequently integrating innovative new tools into their practices. How could AI platforms like Navina be harnessed to not only maintain, but also enhance this clinician-patient relationship?
Yeah, I think on the basic level, as we said, it's just sparing time for physicians. So instead of them just looking at screens, doing hundreds of clicks or thousands of clicks and searching for data, they can now have more time spent with their patient instead of spending it with the computer, because the computer and the technology can work for them. Mm-hmm. So that's the basic level, in which, of course, improve the trust, improve the interaction between the patient and the provider, and by the end of the day, improve the satisfaction on both sides. On a more deeply level, I think it goes into personalized care. So having this technology in place, as we said, providers are smarter and more knowledgeable about the patient. They can get into the room with the patient with an agenda. They know exactly what they need to do in order to close gap. They can identify risk scores early in the process. They can proactively offer all these preventive measures where needed. So it's a more comprehensive care they can do now based on this technology. And again, both sides kind of improving the patient experience. The same side, provider can really focus on what they've been trained to do to take care of their patients. So it's a win-win.
I love that. Yeah. And we're using this technology in sales and marketing. Why can't we use it with patients?
Exactly.
And so I love that you guys are making it very practical for all of us. Value-based care, it's gaining traction. There's different models that are working, but scaling it remains a challenge for many in the industry. From your perspective, Shay, what's the biggest barrier to widespread adoption, and how could AI play a key role in overcoming that hurdle?
So I think that the main barrier is that the whole value-based care process and workflow just add, again, another administrative task and workflow that clinician needs to do, and that's another burden on them, which leads to low engagement from providers to really, follow all the guidelines and make sure that they're not missing anything in the process. I think that what we really need to see, and that's something we have been focused in Navina, is how we can utilize the technology and AI in order to really reduce this barrier and make it easier for less experienced physicians to take risk and take value-based contract and be successful in that. And the key to that is, how can we leverage the data in a way that it will work for the physician? So that means that we are able to identify all these risk patients and gaps. We can show physicians with all these clinical insights and recommendations that they can act upon really easily. And most important, it is integrated into their existing workflow. They don't need to get outside of the system or do another kind of repetitive work. It's there in the workflow with them and enhancing their workflow instead of complicating it. So I think that once you are seeing that and you have the right technology in place, I think that now you will be able to see more providers scaling it up and doing well in this value-based workflow and processes.
Yeah. So having those workflows, having those formularies, next best actions that kind of keep them in that pathway to do well, right, for their patients.
Yeah. Just thinking like an organization taking risk-buried contract on themselves. They need to do the coding by themselves. They need to close care gaps. They need to do the documentation. It's all these tasks that really AI is there for to help them and do most of it by themselves. So that maybe they need to review, they need to act upon it, but you can save a huge amount of time for that.
Huge. I love that. Well, finally, for those healthcare leaders listening who are navigating these challenges of digital transformation in their organizations, what advice would you give on integrating AI solutions effectively? And what are the first steps they should consider to ensure successful implementation?
So I think, first of all, it's important to make sure the clinicians are involved as early as possible in the process so they can get trust in the process, they can be part of the decision making. By the end of the day, they will be mostly the large part of using this technology as part of the workflow. And also, I think that organization needs to focus on, again, those solutions that have more of the transparent approach, that provide the clinical evidence, the explanation of everything that the system suggests rather than having a black box, which would be harder to implement. And as we said, more integrated solutions that can be easily adopted and integrated into the workflow. I think also organization needs to kind of prioritize those use cases across the organization that has highest impact on, across the board from the point of care to the back office, as we said, but also having a clear success metrics and ROI so they can evaluate if the tool, the technology that they're using is very helpful or not. So I think that's really important. And as we said, we need to find and focus on these solutions that can really make physician life easier, not more complicated than they already are.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great way to close there. And tip of the iceberg, I'm sure, of what else you and the firm can offer as far as best practices for the implementation of AI to make it easier for providers. To make it crystal clear for everybody listening, what are the customers that you serve?
Yeah, so today in Navina, we serve mostly outpatient primary care providers. Usually most of it, providers that are taking risk-based organization, taking value-based workflow, and they like to do two things. One is to reduce administrative burden across the organization, but also they want to optimize their value-based care performance, both the clinical and the economical outcomes. So these are the main organizations we are working with: provider groups, health system, MSOs, ACOs, and also health plans.
Beautiful. Love that. So if you're one of those organizations, make sure you check out this amazing company. Just an incredible opportunity to make your front end as well as back end more efficient. Shay Perera, co-founder and chief technology officer of Navina, with us. And if people want to learn more, where can they find out?
Sure. So they can always reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. They can reach out to shay@navina.ai and send me an email. So happy to connect.
Outstanding. There you have it, folks. We'll leave the ways to get in touch with Shay and his company in the show notes. Make sure you do that. And Shay, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
This podcast is produced by Outcomes Rocket, your healthcare exclusive digital marketing agency. Outcomes Rocket exists to help healthcare organizations like yours to maximize their impact and accelerate growth. Visit outcomesrocket.com or text us at 312-224-9945.